Any opposed? Awesome, thank you very much. And now we move to the next item. 8.3, we've got the unitary plan proposed Wynyard precinct plan change. We've got a number of staff coming up. I'm happy to move what's there. There's seconder. Councillor, was that Sayers or Baker? Sayers, would you like to second? Sorry, I saw a hand before I heard the voice. The only thing is that the Mayor asked to be on that, before he left, he asked if he could be on the delegated authority, so I had put him in there. Kia ora, who would like to go first?
Kia ora, yes. I just introduced my team, so it's Frinda Mohe from the AUDO, Sarah Wong, who's the lead planner on this plan change, Giles Bendel from the AUDO, and myself from Planning and Resource Consents. We just wanted to say thank you for the workshop and the really useful questions we got, and I'm going to pass over to Sarah and Giles to run through a quick presentation, and then we can take some questions.
Thank you. I'm just going to very briefly, before we kind of talked about plan changes, just take you through a couple of slides, really just as a bit of a reminder of how much has changed down there. Because it's always, you kind of forget how much it's changed under a relatively short period of time. So this image here is, that's Wynyard Quarter looking southwest. So you've got Westhaven Marina in the top right, and Victoria Park in the top left. And it's just a good illustration that all of that you see there is reclaimed land, including Victoria Park. And it's been reclaimed, so it's almost a kilometre out into the Waitemata. And that's been reclaimed with fairly contaminated fill from all sorts over many decades, since the 1900s. And then, as you can see on that image, the type of uses has been industrial use that have been supporting the city for a number of years. And it was since about 2000, there was a lot of planning work involved of changing that industrial use into much more of a mixed use. So in the early 2000s, lots of planning work done, set the vision. Councillor Lee would have been involved in that with ARC and this Auckland City Council at the time. And it was really around 2011 when we had the Rugby World Cup was the catalyst for major transformation. That's where council started investing into the location directly. That's where we saw Jellicoe Street developed, North Wharf developed and leased out, and Silo Park developed as a new park. And all of that created a new destination for the city centre, which has been highly successful since that time. Since then, over the last decade, that transformation has continued. So we've been partnering up with a range of different developers. We've had Fuwa that have developed the Hyatt Hotel. Willis Bond have been working very hard on the residential side. So they built the first residential building down there, and the first person moved in 2017. We've now got over 300 apartments down there, hopefully getting up to about 1,000 now this gets built out. Precinct Properties have been working very hard in the commercial sector, building the Wynyard Central, and last year they opened up the new office of Becker, which brought quite a few people down, as quite fundamentally changed the energy down there as we build that out and get more people down there. And at the same time council has been investing in a lot of infrastructure in terms of the pump station, developing streets, which is dealing with some of the stormwater, new parks like Dawdy Street, Amy Dawdy Park, and extending Silo Park. Also at the same time, we've been protecting the heritage, so the Voss Shed was restored, and also working with Orams and other marine industry to make sure that activity still carries on. So going back to that same picture or same angle as I showed you in the 1960s, this is jumping forward to last year. And you can see it's fundamentally different to what it was before, from the industrial to a mixed use. That's quite a remarkable transformation under a relatively short amount of time. So you can see here the central area is built out. The area to the right, which is the northern part of a new quarter, all the tank farm was cleared out about 2020 for the America's Cup when that came to town. But what we do have is still a lot to go. So we sort of say we're about 15 years into the regeneration program. We've probably got around about another 15 years to go. So sort of halfway, about 2 development cycles. As you can see on that image, there is quite a lot of land left over, both in the central area, VHHL, as well as council land, and all the northern portion. So what we're here today is really setting up that next stage, the next development, and making sure we've got the plan change correct going forward. So I'll hand over to Sarah, who can just flick through some of the slides you would have seen in the workshop, and it's just a condensed version.
Cool. So you may remember that in February we came to the committee to get a resolution to start the works. So I'll just run through kind of what we've done since. So we looked at the key constraints and issues within the precinct. And so some of the issues that we've identified were that the precinct has complex set of provisions, the exit of most hazardous facilities within the precinct, some outdated provisions relating to hazardous industries and integrated development plans, and the shape and alignment of development sites on Wynyard Point and the Headland Park. And with regards to Wynyard Point, we are looking to realign development sites here, from the triangles to the rectangles in the image. The plan change will optimize development shape, and it will not result in any loss of development potential or open spaces. That just remains the same. And through the plan change seeks to enable this through alterations to designations. There are no changes to the underlying zone, and the precinct provisions will be amended to reflect this. So in terms of heights, the plan change does build on the following objectives, which is to deliver high quality built form outcomes consistent with the original vision for Wynyard Precinct, simplify the Wynyard Precinct provisions, and create some additional opportunities for development. So we are proposing to do this through increasing building heights. So within the core parts of the precinct, heights will be increased from 31 metres up to about 45. And this will be heights will also be increased on select market building sites within the precinct. There are no changes to sites within like the outer edges towards the coast of the precinct. We are also looking to replace the floor area ratio provisions within the precinct. This kind of aligns with how things have gone within the city centre zone, where through Precinct 78 this was removed. And we are proposing to introduce building setbacks from the street in replacement of these. We are also looking to retain and strengthen other development standards and design assessment matters and objectives and policies within the precinct. And these are just the height controls within the precinct. The orange shows what's currently within the Auckland Industry Plan. The white shows development that's been consented within the precinct. You may see that a number of these have exceeded the heights that are permitted within the plan. And these are the heights that we're proposing within the precinct. So they would range between 31 to 45 metres, and on select market building sites, then those would be increased further up to about 80. We are also looking to go out for consultation with iwi, engagement with the Waitemata local board and key stakeholders such as owners and occupiers and businesses within Wynyard Precinct. So the plan change, we are proposing to take these in terms of, and discuss and get feedback on amendments to built form standards and changes to heights, and also changes in relation to hazardous industry provisions, the temporary activities provisions in the precinct, and also requirements in relation to marine industry and marine retail, though that is also subject to further analysis work. So the February resolution, it enabled us to do a plan change within the northern area, and you may have noticed that VHR have a plan change to the southern area. So in terms of how these plan changes align, we have been in discussions with VHR just to see what the effects and interface between the two plan changes would be, and what the impacts on the precinct overall would be if, say, one of them was to introduce changes to the objectives and policies. And so we have kind of come up with a solution, or recommend option, sorry, which is to initiate a single plan change for the entire precinct, and that would just cover both, the extent of both plan changes. And through our options analysis, we did discover that this will be a more efficient and less complicated process. There will be lower costs in terms of council costs for plan making, hearings, and expert input. And there will also be a better alignment with the Auckland Unitary Plan provisions and built form outcomes. In terms of the proposed timeline, we are seeking the resolution from the committee today. And following this, we will be carrying out stakeholder engagement with iwi, the Waitemata Local Board, and key stakeholders. We are also preparing our plan stop to put in a request to the Minister for the Environment. And if that gets approved, we are looking to notify the plan change towards the end of the year. And happy to take questions.
Kia ora, thank you so much. And remember, we did have quite a good discussion in the workshop, lots of questions, I thought, and feedback, but I know there will still be pātai to the team now. Member Wilson.
Thank you, and it was really, really helpful being part of the workshop as well. Look, my pātai relates to the MIS, Māori Impact Statement, on the report. And literally it says, as it does for local board as well, there is none. Now, my pātai is this: given that mana whenua iwi, specifically in that area, have been involved in every aspect and have been responsible also alongside Auckland Council for many awards as it relates, it seems devoid of anything at all. So can you tell me, please, if AUDO still holds a very collaborative relationship with mana whenua as has done when it was Eke Pānuku, or part of Eke Pānuku was part of it? Can you tell me if that still exists?
Yes, very much so. So this probably separate to the plan change. So our relationship with mana whenua and iwi, we have the forum that we regularly go to when we take development sites out to the market. Part of the assessment criteria is what they offer with iwi partnerships, either commercial or cultural overlays, and then also, as you alluded to, we work directly with iwi on our development, our own capital investment, so parks, streets, and other things. So there's quite a few different approaches and levers that we still have, and that will continue.
My second pātai relates to the putting together a governance forum at AUDO in terms of kōrero with, at a governance level, mana whenua. So my pātai is this: has this ever come up on the agenda, given that they're operating in other projects in that area? Has this come up or been notified at all?
Yeah, probably, I'm not too sure. I suspect it would have been flagged, but I would have to double check on that, and I can get back to you.
I guess probably not if there's no understanding. So I'm wanting to understand, please, why in this case, in terms of this plan change, other than the fact that it's not council on its own, it is alongside, potentially, if that was voted in as being the appropriate option, why there wouldn't be some consideration of headlining it as opposed to waiting until it's an appropriate time, given there'll be a regular consultation, as you're aware, with mana whenua entities, and understanding it's a plan change. I understand all those aspects.
Yeah, I can answer that. So yes, so we haven't at this point in time started those interactions with iwi and mana whenua, mainly because we have still been working out exactly what the extent of the plan change will be. So we've had VHHL who lodged a private plan change, and we got a resolution from the committee to look at doing a plan change for the portion of the land that was owned by council. In looking at all of this, we've come to the conclusion that it would be better to do it as a whole precinct review. And so definitely we will be going to carry out all that consultation and engagement with iwi once we know what the extent of our plan change will be, and also so we can start to work out what it is we put into the application to the minister to get exemption for this plan change. But no, we haven't done anything yet, but we will be.
Okay, so another partai is, if that's the anticipated once more is known about the plan change, what is the means by which the engagement will commence, so it's significantly obvious as to when it's going to take place?
Kia ora, we are just working through the engagement strategy, but the idea is for AUDO to host a forum like we used to and run all the parts of this plan change along with individual feedback from iwi mana whenua if that's required as a follow-up. But the idea is to start now and work all the way to notification, not just at that plan stop exemption process.
Thank you. And lastly, just to us, so I'm taking it to mean there has been no consultation whatsoever at this stage with mana whenua.
That is correct.
Thank you.
Thank you, Member Wilson. Councillor Turner.
Thank you. I was online for the workshop and I remember looking this up while you were talking on there. I just went on to the natural hazards GIS and, you know, it's got that whole area there, you know, it's right beside, it's right there on the foreshore, and that whole area there has got a light blue over it, which is high tide, 2 metre sea level rise combination. It's all gone. If that was the private sector trying to get resource consent for there, there'd be a whole bunch of. Have they satisfied? Or have we satisfied ourselves that this is that this has been mitigated?
I guess in the Auckland Nursery Plan, there are provisions to manage coastal inundation for that area. So any new building, whether it's like private or council putting it in, they would have to assess against those provisions and design accordingly.
So in other words, over time, if this gets done, we will defend it against any sea level rise. Is that right? Is that what you?
Yeah, they would have to design the building to manage sea level rise effects.
From the beginning?
Yeah.
Thank you.
And the development down there will be private and they will have to apply. This is a plan change, but the provisions through a consent of a building would have to be considered at the time. Yeah. Councillor Short.
Thank you. Just excuse my ignorance and not knowing a lot about this, but have we requested plan stops before from the minister, and what is our success rate with that, and what is our plan B if it's not successful?
Yes, so we have done a number of applications for plan stop. We have had some declined and we have had some accepted. There is still some waiting for the minister to give us a decision. If he declines, then we won't be going forward with the plan change until such time as we can do it through a different process, because there's a time limit to the plan stop applications. Once the RMA is reviewed, there will be an opportunity later for us to do this work, but at a later stage.
Thank you.
And just so I think it'll be mid next year. I think the plan stop process stops anyway, so we would start again then. The other thing is that because part of this component is private plan changes don't have to do plan stops. We assume they will look kindly on this. And the other thing is the economics. So the government has been leaning into anything that has what they deem as a positive economic outcome. So, but still can stop it. There are no more questions. So, Councillor Lee. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. First of all, in terms of stakeholders, would that include the people, the community that lives in the Wynyard Quarter? Because if you go back to the waterfront plan, which is not mentioned anywhere, there are commitments there to creating a community and actually a building form to enhance community and family living. I'll come back to that later. But does that include the people who live in the quarter as stakeholders? Thank you. That's very welcome. The other question is, given the pending change of legislation and given the pending review of the unitary plan, which this is a plan change about, or a plan change to next year, why wouldn't we wait until next year to do it in a joined up, integrated way?
So we could do that. That is an option. But I think there has been a lot of changes within the precinct over time. We have got a private plan change that is pushing on hold at this point in time. We also, through Plan Change 78, Eki Panuku, as the AUDO was previously, did put in submissions and to make changes within the precinct in order to get the development outcomes that are needed for this area to enhance it and get the development going. That was declined through the panel. They said that it required a plan change, that it wasn't within the scope of Plan Change 78. So it needed to come through a separate plan change. So we've been working on this to see whether or not this is a good thing to do, and we believe we should carry on with it and move forward, and it can also be rolled over into any future plans that happen with the unitary plan.
Yes, it's still not really, I still don't find that convincing, given that the landlord that we propose to advance our plan change with, Viaduct Harbour Holdings over their area, and which we propose to integrate with, has put their plan change on hold. And everyone would know that Viaduct Harbour Holdings is a very commercial entity. I won't go anything further about that, but the first generation of that company was so, and I hear that the present generation is even more so commercially minded. So they've put nevertheless, they have commercial imperatives as a private company to their shareholders, but we are answerable to the wider public, and we know from the waterfront plan the people of Auckland have clear views about how they would like to see the Wynyard Quarter and Wynyard Point area developed. If Viaduct Harbour Holdings, Tramco, is putting their plan change on hold, it seems odd that we are pushing forward and actually assisting them with our own plan change. And unfortunately, our plan change seems to be very commercially oriented rather than the more people focus of the waterfront plan. So I find that answer that we can't put it on hold for a few more months so we can have a joined up look at this with the rest of the unitary plan.
So they've put it on hold pending the outcome of the work that we are doing. If we don't move ahead with ours, they will move ahead with theirs. So they've only put it on temporarily, and it would be much more efficient and cost effective if we could look at the whole precinct and get a better outcome by not having one plan change moving ahead, changing some of the objectives and policies, changing some of the outcomes for the area, that then we then have to respond to through a submission process rather than looking at as a whole and complete plan change.
Thank you.
Kia ora, councillor. Well, there's no other questions, so I'll just get you all to step back. Thank you very much. I have no speakers at the moment, so I'm happy to Councillor Lee.
Thank you. As was mentioned in the introduction, the Wynyard Quarter was a special project of the Auckland Regional Council with the Legacy Auckland City Council, because the Wynyard Quarter drew such a high level of public interest, and there were campaigns in the New Zealand Herald and so on that this was a special area and need to be done in a different way, with design excellence, and in a way that created something new and different on the waterfront because of its special heritage and its locale by our beautiful Waitemata Harbour. So there was a huge amount of public interest, and that led to a waterfront vision of 2005, and the Auckland Council, the new Auckland Council, with its waterfront plan of 2014. And the key aspect of that plan did relate to buildings, and the style and built form was deliberately meant to be different from the usual urban type of development that Auckland had undertaken in the city centre, such as Hobson Street, for instance, and Nelson Street. It was meant to be sympathetic to the environment, and also to acknowledge the importance of not only the special character buildings in the Wynyard Quarter, but the special character of the whole area. And it's concerning that nowhere in the report is there any mention of this waterfront plan with its visionary commitments, nor is there any mention at all of special character. Nowhere at all. All we're talking about here, and it looks like we could have had reproducing a mirror image of what Viaduct Harbour Holdings would like to do, bump up the height of its buildings for commercial purposes. You would expect that from a commercial company, especially of a company of that nature. But we ourselves have public commitments to the people of Auckland that we wouldn't be going in for maximising the height of buildings. We would be, I have the wording here somewhere, looking at creating a development, an urban renewal, which would encourage affordable housing and housing for families, and creating a waterfront community. And it seems to me that we have quietly, without any mention of it, hoping people will forget, resiled from those commitments, those promises that were the outcome of a massive amount of submissions over quite a few years, and we've gone for the normal high-rise. And in terms of the commitments for plentiful open space, we have actually cribbed, for some reason, cribbed land from the proposed headland park, and we've boosted up the height of the buildings. Some of them are already above what was meant to be consented, or what was originally allowed for, to an even higher increased height. So I just find this extremely disappointing. Here was an opportunity that had the full support, overwhelming support of a whole massive number of Aucklanders. And we've just gone down, we're going to create a high-rise environment, sterile, which will not be enabling for family living, certainly not for affordable housing, for something that's just aridly commercial. So here's the wording in the Auckland plan, and the contrast we have between the Auckland plan and the city centre master plan is quite striking. You can't do anything about the city centre without people saying it's in the city centre master plan. I just want to be able to read this, just a brief excerpt about where we were meant to be. The provision of reasonably high levels of affordable housing throughout large-scale urban regeneration projects located within or adjacent to market price housing is common internationally, unless there is some kind of intervention to encourage the provision of larger, more family-sized, affordable accommodation and affordable accommodation in general, the market is likely to deliver a majority of prestigious apartments, the price being driven by location, aspect, size, number of car parks, and quality of fit-out. Waterfront Auckland will work with Auckland Council and other stakeholders to find ways to ensure that the Wynyard Quarter provides for a greater diversity of household types than other parts of the waterfront, while the Auckland Plan provides policy support for increasing housing affordability and the supply of housing. There's no regulatory and limiting function support in this area. So that's where we were. That's what I'm concerned about. So I'll leave it at that. Just one more point. It's a technical point, a legal point, if you will. That relates to our conflict of interest policy, which is obviously very important. In terms of the delegations, I would seek some legal advice about the propriety of Mayor Wayne Brown being involved in this, given the scale of election donations particularly from Wynyard Quarter and Viaduct Harbour Holdings. We have to walk the talk when it comes to ethics, and I would suggest that at least we get some independent advice on that matter. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor. And I think under standing orders, it's up to members to recognise their conflicts of interest, and I'm sure that will be of the Mayor as well. All those in favour? Aye. Any opposed?
Yes. Against? Opposed.
Thank you. Councillor Lee and Councillor Turner would like to record their opposition. Thank you very much. And now we'll move to, I know that Andy is keen to move the next 3 items in one go. And I'll second. If there are any questions on the 3 other, what are they, procedural items, please let me know now. Otherwise, all those in favour? Aye. Any opposed? No, good. And I'll just close with a karakia. Unuhia, unuhia, unuhia. Kia ora tapinui, kia wātea, kia mama, te nākau, te tinana, me te wairoa, e te ara takatu koiare rā e rongo. Whakairea ake ke runga, kia tina. Homie tai kia.
Thank you.
That was a full-on week, but we got through it, and I hope you all have a good week of no committees next week, and probably answer some emails, hopefully see your families. So kia ora everyone, and see you when we're back. Thanks.
Kia ora.